One of the massive changes in Kontakt 8 is the fact that your loop libraries, one-shots, and something new called leaps are now available easily to you in Kontakt 8. Now, you've always been able to access the machine libraries and one-shots through Battery or the NKS sampler, but with this step, the ecosystem of Native Instruments has now fully come together, in that you can get pretty much everything apart from the synths rolling inside Kontakt, which is pretty awesome, to be fair. So let's have a little look at how the loops and one-shots aspect work, and then we'll have a look at the new feature which is right in line with this, which is leaps. What you can see here is I've loaded up 2 loops from the Bump in Flavor library. And I put 2 loops in for an example I'll show you in just a sec. First things first, don't be fooled, this doesn't end here. The GUI is actually a little bit bigger than you'd believe, so you want to drag this down, and it's actually all of this here. Effectively, what's going on here, we've got info at the top of what loop we've got. Grid, off, fixed, auto or flex, your quantize rate, so 1/16th, is it snapping to grid, on, off, 0x, all of that jazz. We're basically looking at a pretty advanced quick sampler. Over here we've got mono options or voices, and you can see it in edit mode, it's not available to us. And it's important up here in the top right hand corner, we've got play, edit, send effects and perform effects. The play in this instance is not really going to show us anything. This comes into play a lot more when we've got leap involved. Send effects are obviously our send A and B with our different effects that we can put on them. We'll have a look in just a sec. And perform effects give us some live effects options, which we can see controlled down at the bottom here. If we want to put some kind of loop or sample in, it's relatively easy to do so, and we've got a nice search option here, something that we didn't have before, which allows us to find things that are in the right key, for example. So in this case, I've got a bass loop and some drums in. We need to find something else that's in A, so I could just put A in here, for example. And let's see, we've got some chords here. I don't know if this is particularly going to work, but the way that we drag it in is we can bring it over and we can drop it on any of the slots here, or we could drop it here. And you can see you can drop your sample here or in a specific key. We'll drop it in a specific key here, and that'll give us that loop option right here. So if we were to now trigger E on the keyboard, I'm going to play that loop back for us. D's our drums, C was our bass. E all the way through in our loop, and now we'll be able to play back. Definitely an issue going on with the timing, and that is something I've noticed. You have to set everything up for the most part. So at the top here we've got grid, we can have it off. You see now no grid in the background. Fix, auto or Rex, currently not on. It's not a Rex file, so to be expected. So we can have it on fixed, 1/16th. Snap to grid or zero cross. The zero cross doesn't really matter unless you're putting it in slicing mode, in my opinion, especially for the use cases that we've got here. Can be effects with the perform effects though. So we're actually playing back at a BPM of 85 here. I slowed it right down so it's complete opposite to the samples to kind of demonstrate what's going on here. In this bottom section here, we've got our tempo, and our tempo of this particular loop is 132 BPM. Our drums is 130, but I've got it at double speed, which is how we're getting this. Our bass line, 134, but I've got that out at 1 speed. The two go together. Now what we just put on E, the touch separated. It's also pulled it to the wrong key here. That's super important. We've got the tuning set to global, but there's none set here for the drums. And it's actually set to D minor here for the bass, because we've been able to switch that key. And it's made the mistake here of grabbing the wrong key. So we need to make sure we switch that up onto D. That's going to resolve the first problem for us. The other thing is the timing aspect. We might want to speed this up, but actually plays more like this. Or half timing. Now all of this is kind of keeping it out of time, and this is why it's a good example, because everything else is set to melody. This here has the engine set to melody, drums set to melody as well, it works perfectly fine. This This instance would serve this a lot better being split onto slice. Now we can see it's going to do a slice of the timing instead. And now it keeps that timing based on the slices on the transient and the audio. So when we play it back now, it's actually keeping everything in time because it's sliced it up and it's quantizing it to that grid effectively. Let's take our little keys thing we've got in the background here, and we can do some send effects with that. If we switch over from engine to sound, we've got our send effects just here, currently set to 0 dB. However, in send effects, we need to make sure they've got a gain amount, because at the minute, it's not there, even though it's set to 0 dB. If we give a gain to the delay, however, my issue with that is, now everything's got it. You need to grab the individual samples and go into edit, and take them back down. And now, just this key will have it, giving this a nice little delay sound on it. That's pretty useful, right? Now we've got perform effects as well. Each of these is set onto the sharps on your keys. So, for example, we've got such, and we can press and do an immediate slowdown. Or a nice gate effect, pitch up, pitch down, all in real time, which is good fun. And we can change these out as much as we want, right? So like the half time here, for example. And we can disable these should we not want to be able to press them. So half time here, for example, disabled now. As you can see, I can press that key. It's no longer going to trigger. These, we can switch into other options. I have like a reverse grain, for example, which is also used over here. You have multiple settings of it. I don't know why you can't do it with the other keys, but here we are. Adjust the pitch, adjust the grain amount. And mix and match those up as you see fit. Any machine packs you've got installed, and I installed a whole bunch for this, and if you've had Komplete in the last few years, you get a bunch included. And if you own machine, all of them are now available to you on here, which is super useful. We can now choose any one that we like and grab the sounds and preview them straight away, which is super nice. We take our drop down here, we can go into any of the others and switch through them. For example, if I wanted to find something that was C minor, I can put in C and filter those key things out into that. And it's a similar story for one-shots look. I can now pick out those individual options as well. If we double click on any sample we like, well, it loads into the sampler for us and we've got the same kind of situation. However, for this instance, we might want to change it from group to single. And we're now able to play our sample across the key set, including our sharps, which are no longer functioning as perform effects. We've got the basic control that you would expect in terms of a sample start time and a sample end time. And these are linked to the grid that you've got set here. If you take it to off, you can take it to anywhere you want, pop it on zero crossing to get a nice loop point. If you then want to loop exactly a key point as well, you can bring your loop points in like so. And once we're in single mode, we've got our voice options as well, so we could switch it over to mono should we so need to. And more importantly for one shots, if we switch over to the sound option, we do have our amp as well for an attack and release. Really important if you're using drum samples or quick hits and you want to pitch them up and down. And something we didn't talk about with the loops, we do also have a filter option with a couple of different filter types, effectively neutral, juicy, mid. They're different band filters with your high pass, band pass, low pass, and your resonance has a slightly different effect depending on what type of filter you're using here. Another touch in engine, if we go into classic mode, we can switch on the SP1200 or the MP60 emulation as well. If you want to grip those samples up just a touch, much like you could with Machine. And that brings us comfortably into Leap. Now currently I've only got a couple of Leaps installed, but what we've got here are a new form of instrumentation like the expansion packs you get with Machine, but for Kontakt. Currently, these are the only ones that I have got access to, which are drum breaks. We've got some classic drum break options. And these are completely pre-set up of what we've just looked at with our loop libraries. For example here, if I'm now to play back this. We're playing back these drum breaks from here in these different loop options. And because of this sampler functionality though, we can still take everything we want, go into edit mode, and well, do whatever we want to these samples, include our own, pitch them up, change the speed and variations, whatever we see fit at the end of the day. Just to take us out, and if you've got any questions to type in the comments down below, let's have a listen to the sounds from the hot vocals. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it's been helpful and shown you some ideas of how you can get working with the new one-shots and loops features in Kontakt 8. I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Please do take care.